Welcome, family. If this is your first time tuning into one of the Black House Management videos, I just want to say welcome once again. And my name is Travion Brandon. I am the head portfolio manager here for Black House Management. But let's keep it real simple, man. You can call me 500K Trey, or people also know me as Trey High Power. Okay, but today I have a very special video for you guys. This is going to be on gold. Okay, I will be breaking down a long that we took today on the portfolio. But before we get into it, I just like to always, just give a brief little overview. Black House Management represents a private owned investment firm where we solely focus on commodities. All right, now gold is going to be our leading asset, and we also do trade crude oil. All right, and those are the only two assets that we trade here at Black House Management. And those are obviously these are futures contracts that we are trading and speculating on. And our system that we trade is the Confluence Profile 500K model 1 of 1. Okay, so before we get into this video, if you haven't already liked and subscribed, please take the time to do that now, and please follow me on Telegram at Blackhouse 500K, and then follow us on X, or also known as Twitter. Well, it used to be known as Twitter, at Blackhouse 500K. All right, so let's go ahead and get into the video, family. Let's see what we got. It's going to be some real good information today. This is going to be going over the order flow. Okay, so here at Black House Management, we do trade order flow, and I will be breaking down these concepts today. All right, so let's go ahead and get into it. So the market playbook and breakdown. All right, so the two things that I want us to focus on is managing the downside cost of printing high side returns. All right, and small window of opportunity, calculated risk to reward. I'm gonna say it one more time. Managing the downside cost of printing high side returns and a small window of opportunity, calculated risk to reward. So today's structural setup. All right, so on the 1 hour time frame, buyers have been very adamant in reclaiming price back above major key level 4K after the short collapse, diving price back into the mid 3930s price range. Buyers reclaiming and riding this ascending external range liquidity trend line. We had 2 attempts today during New York session. These were the 2 attempts. Okay, we had 2 attempts during New York session by aggressive sellers looking to purge lower and break the trend. However, they were unsuccessful. All right, buyers heavily defended the 1 hour demand zone / the ascending external range liquidity trend line. That is what the ATL is abbreviated for, creating for us a long bias. So this was my initial thought process. So I noticed how on the 1 hour time frame, all right, we had this ascending external range liquidity trend line that is being heavily respected. Okay, and we came into it today during New York session. The first candle was unsuccessful. We had a huge wick out, but the candle closed above major key level. That is what MKL is abbreviated for, 4K. This is a huge level in the market. This is what we need to pay attention to. Okay, so on the second candle, notice how we had this 1 hour demand. So price created, we came down into the external range liquidity trend line. We pushed back up into 4K. Sellers pushed back down into the external range liquidity trend line. Buyers developed. We pushed back up. That was yesterday's Asia session. London pushed back down into this level. Okay, and then we swept this 1 hour indecision candle. This is also added confluence. Okay, that is how gold has been buying. Okay, this is really a buy every dip type of asset right now here on gold. Okay, so we broke underneath and we swept this 1 hour indecision candle, and we came into this overall higher time frame 1 hour demand zone. All right, So the liquidity map. Now at 6:30 a.m., New York opens. Sellers became aggressive, pushing underneath value area low in major key level 4K. On the higher time frame, this price levels are tapping into a 1 hour demand zone slash ascending trend line. Okay, so New York open 6:30 a.m. Okay, as you can see, these red dots, these are big sellers looking to who are hitting the ask, looking aggressively, looking to push price lower. Okay, so 6:30 a.m. New York open, we push underneath major key level 4K, and then we push into the value area low. Okay, we have a slight reaction up, and then we break that, and then we close underneath with strong conviction, or quote unquote strong conviction from sellers. As you can see at the bottom of this bar, they were trying to get very aggressive. Okay, however, it was not. It was met with equal buying, and then the buying overpowered. But now let's look at the session delta. Okay, now the session delta on the New York Open, it was only a negative print of -82 on the session delta. The session delta is basically the overall delta of how the session is performing, the volume between the buyers and the sellers, right? So as you can see, it goes from 7 to -82. So there is not really a dominant hand right now in the market at this point. There's not really a dominant hand. Okay, so it's kind of ping ponging back and forth. Okay, it's fair value right now, and buyers and sellers are both kind of agreeing on price, and we're accumulating for somebody to develop and really take this move either higher or lower. But obviously, we were speculating from based off of how price action was setting up when we were writing this higher time frame external range liquidity trend line, right? So I started speculating that, okay, we are getting ready to take this market higher. So let's read the order flow. So the session delta is only printed at -82. All right, this next 5-minute candle came in. We sellers tried to get very aggressive at pushing price lower. As you can see, there was a big seller looking to sell, all right, around 39.91. Okay, trying to push down into the 980s. All right, however, was unsuccessful. Buyers pushed price back up into the value area low, please excuse me, and then we even pushed back up into the major key level 4K. Sellers got aggressive, pushed price back down, and then we created this 5-minute demand zone. Okay, because we pushed back basically into these points of control. As you can see, there was another big seller looking to push this market and purge lower underneath the value area low. Unsuccessful. We pushed higher. All right, as you can see, buyers were getting aggressive. A big buyer right here hitting the bid. I apologize, lifting the offer right here at the value area low. And then we pushed higher into the volume point of control, and then we hit this VWAP. Sellers got aggressive and pushed lower. So you can see how the session delta negative 212, -166, -104. All right, when it's getting when the session delta is when the number increases negatively, that means the selling pressure is increasing. However, look at the delta: -86, 46, 60, +40, -86. Then it went to +46, +62, +59. Okay, why? Because buyers are buying underneath major key level, all right, and pushing price back up. We're trying to lift this market. All right, sellers got aggressive, pushed price back down off of the volume point of control, and then we swept out this 5-minute demand. Okay, so buyers absorption. Take a look at the time statistic at New York Open, the delta, session delta, and miln delta. Even though we broke underneath the value area low on major key level 4K, the bidding statistic did not increase negatively, signaling for lower prices. Why? Even though they tried sellers for a little over 1 hour and 15 minutes to purge lower, buyers absorbed all the bidding. Okay, buyers absorbed all the bidding, defending the higher time frame 1 hour demand zone slash ascending trend line, forcing sellers to liquidate their positions. Now we get ready to swap hands, bullish. Okay, There can only be one dominant hand in the market, and if it's not one dominant hand, then that means the market is still valued. Buyers or sellers are both agreeing on price. All right, the markets exist to facilitate trade. There can only be one dominant hand. It's going to be bulls or bears, buyers or sellers, and if there's not, that means the market is consolidating or ranging, and it's fair value. Okay, so right now during this little section, okay, we can call it like consider it ranging or accumulating. All right. Now, entry confirmation at 7:45 a.m. That is this big bull candle right here. 7:45 a.m. as you can see right here on the time. 7:45 a.m. Sellers once more tried to purge lower, sweeping out the temporary 5-minute demand. This was the 5-minute demand. So price pushed down New York open. We pushed up into above the value area low. We pushed up into major key level 4K. Sellers came in. Buyers defended this level right here, and we pushed higher. So now this is going to be a 5-minute demand. Okay. Buyers pushed up into the volume point of control. Sellers became aggressive and pushed lower, breaking this 5-minute demand, and we swept it out. However, we only swept it. It wasn't a candle confirmed. It wasn't a candle closure below. Okay. Now, so the 5-minute demand that buyers created 15 minutes into the open, pushing price back up above the value area low and into the volume point of control. Sellers developed aggressively pushing lower, sweeping that demand, but were unsuccessful past 33.91. This price level right here. Sellers were unsuccessful at breaking 33. I apologize. I put 33.91. It was supposed to be 39.91. Please excuse me on that. All right. So sellers were unsuccessful at pushing price lower than 39.91. They hit a wall. A big buyer lifted the offer after the sweep, pushing price back up above the value area low with a strong bull candle closing at the top. Okay. So what I mean by that is sellers pushed price down. We swept out this low. And trading gold, I've been trading gold exclusively for over roughly all of my career, because I've been trading 6 years. I'm 32 now. I started when I was 26. If you understand, gold has a high tendency to sweep, reclaim, build, sweep, and then reclaim with strong conviction above and then run to the upside. And that's exactly what it did right here. It swept out this 5-minute demand. Okay. And then as you can see right here, a big buyer initiated around 30. I believe this is around the 993. Around the 993s, a big buyer lifted the offer after the sweep, pushing price back up above the value area low with a strong bull candle closing at the top, full strength and above the candle's point of control. So if you can see this rectangle box right here, this is the point of control. This was the most volume that took place. So we swept out this low, and then we closed at the top of the candle, showing strong conviction. All right, now what I want you to pay attention to is the order flow. Look in this candle right here. We had a negative, the ask was 482. The bid was 578. The delta printed a negative 96. The session delta was negative 87. All right, and we were at a negative of 111. In the very next candle, the max delta jumped to a strong positive 133, showing us how aggressive buyers were at one point in time in this bar. It printed at a 582, okay? And the delta went from negative 96 to a positive 122, and the session delta rose to 35 positive. All right, now we came and we break above the value area low, and we push back into 4K. This was our first confluence as to why I would be interested in taking this market long. All right, so the max delta jumped to 133 and the delta to a positive 122. This was our first confluence to go long. All right, this was the entry right here. As you can see, the value area low. Okay, we pushed into the value area low. All right, we pushed up, creating a high, and then we pushed lower. A strong reaction out. Look at these bull candles. A strong reaction out. All right, and this was our entry, the 1 minute sub X bull swap. So this candle right here. This candle is considered a 1 minute level of supply because this was the last bull candle before price dumped and we swept out this low right here. Price swept it and then we reclaimed above with strong conviction. All right. And this was when the order flow shifted from bearish to bullish. So the execution moment. So this was our 1 to 5 minute sub X bull swap. Okay. At 7:45 a.m., price aggressively pushed back up above the value area high on the 1 minute time frame, invalidating the 1 minute supply that led to the sweep. This was the 1 minute supply that led to the sweep of this 1 minute candles. As you can see, we pushed back on 6:30 a.m. This is New York Open. We pushed low, we pushed down underneath the value area low, we pushed back into MKL 4K. Okay. We pushed back up into the VPOC. We pushed down. Buyers into basically into this 1 minute demand zone. Okay, this is the 1 minute demand zone right here. All right, and we pushed up higher above the VPOC. We came into the VWAP. Sellers got aggressive. We pushed lower back down into the volume area low. All right, buyers came back up, pushed back into the volume point of control. Sellers became aggressive, okay, and pushed price lower, sweeping out this demand zone, tricking sellers into thinking that this market is getting ready to go long. Okay, once they swept this low, you can imagine all the sellers that were probably loading up at major key level 4K looking to dump the market. All right. But this was the trap right here when we swept this out. We swept this out, and this is why we got to pay attention to the order flow, because once we swept this out, you can see on the 5 minute time frame how this was a strong delta print. All right. Look at the ask. The ask went to a 582. The bid 460. The delta to a positive 122. All right. This was the delta flip right here. You can see in the order flow it shifted. All right. So on the 5 minute time frame, the 7:45 a.m., we broke about. This was supposed to be value area low. Please excuse me. On the 1 minute time frame, invalidating the 1 minute supply that led to the sweep. A big buyer entered the market 15 minutes into the open and lifted the offer around price level 3993.5, immediately causing price to rise and breaking the last 1 minute supply above. On the 5 minute time frame, the 7:45 a.m. candle closed bullish with the big buyer lifting the offer. We had a strong delta print of 133 and the max delta print of 133 and the delta print of positive 122. So when price broke the 1 minute supply and closed above, this created for us a beautiful 1 minute sub X bull swap. I longed the retest off the failed supply / 1 minute sub X price level and targeted the 5 minute high, which is going to be 10 points. Now, the key confluences, this is very important. You need to pay attention to this, right? So here at Black House Management, our system, what we trade is the confluence profile 500K model 1 of 1. Now, the key confluences while we entered this position long are as follows. Price was traded back down into a 1 hour demand zone. 2, the 1 hour time frame, we were hitting an ascending external range liquidity trend line. 3, price was underneath the value area low and major key level 4K. 4, the lower time frame 5 minute 7:45 a.m. a big buyer lifted the offer and the buying distribution started swapping hands from weak sellers to strong buyers' hands. The order flow switched bullish with the delta, session delta, max delta, and the ask. I put ask, my bad. Yo, what's up, G? What's going on, man? We gotta get this typing right. All recording a strong print higher and higher. Okay, now the fifth confirmation was the 1 minute time frame. We got to confirm 1 minute change of character, which is what chalk is abbreviated for, above the value area low with a supply failure and the bull candle closing above with strong conviction, creating our entry. What do I mean by that? So we got the sweep. Okay, one, two, three, four. So this is the level of supply. Okay, we got the sweep. We got the sweep, and then buyers immediately reclaimed back above this 1 minute candle. Okay, this what created our setup right here. This is our setup. This is what we trade. Okay, so once price broke above that, we hit major key level 4K, and then we came back down to retest this level. I immediately bought, and I gave myself 3 points. Okay, 3 points, and then I was targeting the 5 minute high, which is just above the volume point of control because the volume point of control shifted higher. Okay, so my target was 10 points with 3 points of risk, which would have calculated risk to reward. Remember, small window of opportunity, calculated risk to reward. This was a 1 minute of opportunity. Okay, once we got the break above this failed level of supply, 1 minute on the 1 minute time frame, I bought. Okay, and I was triggered in. All right, so once again, this was our entry. Okay, right here off of this failed 1 minute supply, we came up into major key level 4K. We came down to retest this level, and I was all in. Okay, the order flow has shifted bearish. I had 5 confluences as to why I went long. And once again, remember where this is all bouncing inside of a 1 hour time frame and bouncing off of a higher time frame, ascending external range liquidity trend line. Okay, so we are pro trend. Okay, so this is the order flow, as you can see, and this is another reason why I wanted to. This is another confluence, right? We were purging this internal range liquidity trend line on the lower time frame. As you can see, price came up, got smacked down. Price came up into this trend line again, got smacked down, and now once we broke above this, well, technically this was the value area low, but it shifted. Okay, value area low shifted. Once we broke above this candle, reclaiming was strong bullish conviction, we retested my entry for just basically around one candle on the 15-minute time frame, and then we took up to the upside like a rocket. All right, look at the order flow shifting. So remember, in this candle we had a positive 133. All right, but look how the order flow is shifting in our favor. Positive 122, positive 58, positive 13. Okay, and then we get a strong at 8 o'clock. All right, at 8 o'clock we get a strong bullish up move. All right, breaking this eternal range liquidity trend line. All right, establishing and confirming conviction that buyers are in a favor for us, and we are on the right side of the market. All right, as you can see, the ask is getting stronger, 570. All right, the delta has gotten way stronger, positive 171. Okay, and the max delta, okay, positive 178, and the session delta is really turning in our favor. This really is going to show us how the volume is really behind us on this move as a positive dark shade of 277. The time statistics, the order flow is in our favor. As you can see, the point of controls, you can see how they were all bearish, right? Now the point of controls are starting to shift. So it was a bear flow, okay? And then the point of controls, which are these black rectangles, they're starting to switch. Okay, so that this is showing us live with the order flow how the order flow has shifted. Okay, from weak seller hands to now strong buyer hands, and it all started right here when this big buyer lifted the offer. Beautiful. All right, I was long 3 contracts. As you can see, we now broke above the volume point of control. We came back down to retest it. All right, this was the higher time frame external range liquidity trend line. Okay, we broke this internal range descending liquidity trend line beautifully. All right, and look at price just surfing that outer band beautifully. As you can see right here also on the heat map. Okay, look at all this stacked liquidity. All right, that's why the market fell, all this stacked liquidity when we hit the VPOC. All right, my entry was right here at 97.6. All right, we came to retest and then we broke out aggressively. Why? Because the market formed right here, as you can see. All right, it wasn't as dark as these. I think these were I think these levels were about, these sellers were hitting like 100 contracts on the ask, right? Right here they got very aggressive and then we broke up. This is where the buying distribution started, right here. Beautifully price ran. I managed to partial secure 2 contracts off the table once we came to retest, and then I just left the remaining contract running towards our target, and I trailed my stop, and I made 3R off of this trade. Beautiful. Price just surfed that outer band. Come on, man, we doing this. We doing this live. This is beautiful. Right here in the order flow, you can see it. Okay. So the trade flow, price rallied in our favor as predicted and ran all the way to target, securing 10 points with 3 points of risk, equaling 3R. Price continued higher, purging liquidity and sweeping the previous double session highs above, completing the 1 to 5 minute sub-X bull swap sequence. Look at the CVD. Look at how the CVD rose. Look at all that volume. Buyers in our favor. Beautiful. All right. We made 10 points, but price continued to rally, getting ready to come and sweep out London, New York, yesterday's New York session and yesterday's London session. All right. So these double session highs are what his price is getting ready to purge right now. Look at this external range liquidity trend line. This is what price came to retest today beautifully, and we capitalized on this move. Beautiful. And this is price purging these highs. So yesterday's New York high, yesterday's London high, okay, and today's London high, price came and purged all of this liquidity. And we rode this external range liquidity trend line ascending to the upside beautifully. And this is what we came down to mitigate. All right, we hit the value area low and then we broke up to the upside. Beautiful. All right. So once again, family, if this is your first time watching our videos here at Black House Management, I want to say welcome. We only trade futures, commodities. Our leading asset is going to be gold, which we know as GC, and our secondary asset that we trade is crude oil, and that is CL. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and leave you with this. When it comes to financial risk management here at Black House Management, our profession is managing the downside cost of printing high side returns of money consistently through any market conditions. All right. Done correctly, well, an abundance of fruit awaits us. Godspeed. 500K Trey, we out. Make sure you like and subscribe, and I'm going to catch you guys on the next video. Blessings.